Alrighty, we are back. Shamus is alive from P-Town, and we obviously will hear about his stories and what the hell happened on the bachelorette party, so we'll hear all about that. We've got another loaded episode for you guys, though. We'll talk about some keeper and dynasty strategy. I've learned about an awful decision Shamus made before these sessions, of course, but he made a horrible keeper decision, which gives us that need to kind of get that going. Talking about some dynasty strategy. So if you have any keeper questions, anything like that for the mailbag, let us know there. I've been getting a ton of them. We've been answering them on the podcast, but more than willing to talk about a ton of those on air. And really just an open mailbag this time. Shamus has some questions for me about just general fantasy. We're going to do another mock draft, of course, to see what he's learned since the first time. But yeah, we're happy to be back. We're going to talk about, again, P-Town. Just going to adjust this a little bit. There we go. Now we got the cameras. Just to make sure you can see our brand new Roto Street shirts. Just came in this week. Shamus has his, but he wants to show off Justin Timberlake
rocking
instead.
Off the sexy back today.
So I couldn't force him to change that. It's a fantastic shirt. But Shamus, how are you? How was the trip?
I'm good.
How's life?
Life is good. I'm losing my voice a little bit.
Why is that?
There's been a lot of talking, a bit of partying and celebrating. And I've been teaching a lot this week, so it seems like as the week goes on and on, I am getting deeper and deeper into a more baritone kind of level.
Fantastic. Oh, I'm going to adjust this camera. We didn't even get this in the middle. There we go. Yeah, so losing the voice, baritone.
Yeah.
At least it's not singing that you do for a life. It's dancing.
Correct.
So that's good. But yeah, so hopefully if everyone able to hear us, let us know. CJ, I saw that you tuned in. Jimmy, thanks for tuning in as always. Let us know if you can hear us okay with Shamus's lost voice or see us. This kind of actually went live as I was setting it up, so if you need us to adjust the angle, it's kind of in the, who knows, it looks okay for now.
Right.
But yeah, so I've heard you have a horrendous keeper decision that you've made. Why don't you summarize for everybody what your keeper choice was? And we can talk about why it was an awful decision, and when you made this choice too. So people don't think I was there.
Correct. So I did win, as some of you mostly maybe know, my fantasy league last season. So I am a champion, thanks to some great help. But I was asked at the end of the season for a keeper. At the time, I didn't understand what that meant. I thought I would just get to keep the player I wanted. So I chose to keep Aaron Rodgers, which is precisely what Wolf has been telling me not to do. And that means I will no longer have a second round pick.
And you picked the first pick of the second round, too.
Correct.
So, the couple things that make this... I love Aaron Rodgers. Great talent, and I know you like him, so I respect that you took the guy you wanted. But you, as you explained, didn't understand you lose the round and different things that go with keeper rules. Just as, again, we talked about this episode 1, all the episodes. You got to know how the rules work. You got to understand the scoring settings, how the different rules work.
Right.
And so when you lose the round of the pick, losing the first pick of the second round for a quarterback, we've talked about that. Not okay, no. Especially when I was looking at your bench. You had Mike Thomas for round 11, Jordan Howard off waivers. I mean, if you had nobody else, Rodgers in round 2, you're getting him for the value that you would have paid, or a little bit more expensive.
Right.
But Mike Thomas is now, first round, second round, early, second round at latest pick that you could have had for round 11. So when we talk about keeper dynasty, now that you know kind of how it works, you want that balance of getting yourself a sure talent that you can build around, but getting it at the lowest price. That's kind of the key with keepers is, it's good you have Rodgers. You're going to get your points. You don't have to worry about quarterback. But Michael Thomas would have been a sure, wide receiver 1 for a round 11 price.
Right.
You're starting a championship run already because of that. That's a great, fantastic start. Now, there are a few things, though, I hate that this league made you make your keeper decisions in December. I think that's an awful decision because so many players move or people get cut or people get hurt even. So you make your keeper and then he gets hurt in training camp. That's awful. So I don't like whatever this league is, what they're doing with the keeper thing. I like keeper leagues. I respect them. I do Dynasty too.
Right.
But to make you make that choice this early was, I think, poor taste. Usually it's at the beginning of August, maybe that. So, as much as I want to sit here and scream at you for keeping Aaron Rodgers, and maybe I will, I still, especially over Michael Thomas or Jordan Howard, Michael Thomas in particular, my 13th overall player, you could have had for like a pick 120. So hate that. But at the end of the day, I also hate that your league made you put that decision in so early. I think that was kind of the BS, to be honest.
Right. I probably should have advised with someone.
You could have asked us before you locked that in for sure. You asked us like a million questions a week. Why would you not ask us something?
I don't know. I just thought I get to keep whoever I want.
Yeah,
so rightfully, obviously, I would keep Aaron. Unfortunately, he's off the market now. But
yeah, what's the deal with that?
He's dating this soccer player, Maria Margolios or something like that. Yeah, she's no Olivia Munn, but
pretty
he's got to go somewhere.
Sure
He's got to go somewhere.
I know soccer players too, always in good shape.
Yep,
so
of course.
I'm sure she's very attractive female.
Yep.
I'll have to look her up in the middle of the show.
Yep.
Maria something.
Margiolos. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. So he's off the market in Shamus's league and in real life because you made your horrible keeper decision.
Yeah.
But again, just to summarize that point, if you're making keeper decisions, you always want to balance that sure thing. You want someone you can rely on, but also at the cheapest price possible. And so when that comes in play, like I've gotten some questions, do I keep Isaiah Crowell in round 10 or Le'Veon Bell round 2? As much as I love Crowell and I think that value's insane, you can't pass up on a talent like Le'Veon Bell, the surest thing in fantasy besides David Johnson, elite RB1, in a class now only 2 with Zeke dropping. There's only 2 of them at this point. So even though you're getting a better value on Crowell, and he's a pretty sure talent, he's my top 30, Le'Veon Bell in round 2 is still more sure. So you have to balance that out a little bit with, if you have the number 1 pick for a round 2 price, then you do that versus, top 30 at pick 90. Right. But still, if Bell wasn't there, Crowell would be a great keeper because he's a sure talent, round 10. So it's a tricky balance. If you have questions specifically about specific players, let me know, and we'll kind of scroll through it. Shamus is on the mailbag as we're going. So if any questions pop up about keepers, let me know. We've gotten some great ones. Got one from Anthony. Before the show we were going to talk about keepers. He was asking, I get 3. My guys, I'm considering LaShawn McCoy in round 1, Doug Baldwin round 13, Devontae Adams undrafted, and Theo Riddick round 13. And he was really just saying kind of this lines we're talking about. Is it better to keep Riddick because he's 13 than blow my first round pick on a guy like Shady? And I said no. As much as I'm higher on Riddick than most experts, I personally would keep Shady. He's a top 6 pick this year in all leagues, deservedly so. The clear RB3 with Zeke's suspension. I think it's a no-brainer. You got to have that type of horse to build your team around, even if you're costing yourself a first-round pick. In a league where you keep 3 first-rounders, the talent thins out very quickly. So I think, Shady's got to be the guy there. Along with, I would say, those 2 receivers, Doug Baldwin, Devontae Adams, wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, locked up for 13 and 14-round prices. That's what I would go with. I know Devontae Adams, a Packers fan.
Yeah.
What do you expect out of Devontae? And just let's talk about some Packers players. That's your team. What do you think of Devontae, Jordy?
I love Devontae. I love them all.
Yeah.
I think they're all really talented.
Yep.
I think that they definitely. I think Jordy is really just top of the line.
Absolutely. He actually just moved up on my big board. He was 12 before I moved him up to 9.
I read that. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thinking behind that is now that Zeke's falling to round 2. If you can get like a sure thing like Jordy or AJ Green versus
my first round
with your first rounder, and then pair that with Zeke in round 2, it's tough to do Zeke without knowing you have some sure points. And receivers are definitely a higher hit rate. As much as I love Melvin Gordon and Jay Yaji, those guys I can't say are sure lock things. They've gotten hurt multiple times. Yaji's been concussed all training camp. Gordon, as much as he receives so much good work and a good offense, he's averaged like 3.9 yards per carry. I don't know how much I love his talent. So I'm going to go now in round 1 and lock up Jordy Nelson, the top scoring receiver of last year, finished 30-plus points above everybody else after he was fully healthy. I'll give me that sure points and then go with Zeke. and get that risk because I know I have every week Jordy's getting me 15, 20. I love Jordy, so he's taking a nice rise. Devontae Adams, I think, is a very quality wide receiver too.
Would you take him if for a hypothetical reason you didn't have a second round pick anymore? What would be your approach?
I still think I wouldn't take Zeke in that case. I would go and especially if you have Rodgers now.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice having those QB wide receiver hookups
Right.
when Rodgers throws Jordy a touchdown, which happens pretty much every week.
Right.
You know, 70% of weeks Jordy's catching a touchdown.
Right.
You're getting 10 points every single time that connection happens. I think that makes a lot of sense for you. It's PPR too, your league, right? And so if Jordy's there at 12, I think he's definitely a fantastic pick for you. I really would like to have a Jordy Aaron Rodgers pairing. I
And
think,
probably a third round would need to get into a running back.
oh, definitely. At that point, you know, C was
Whatever's
available.
best available.
There is a lot of depth at the position, though, so I don't
Yeah.
think you have to force it. There's some drafts, and we can experiment and do a couple mocks a little bit later, but I did a wide receiver draft, so first 4 picks were wide receivers, and I still didn't hate my running backs. I was able to get Bilal Powell, Danny Woodhead. You do PPR, so those guys like that catch a lot of receptions. You can fill in those running backs in PPR leagues pretty easy. Theo Riddick, a guy we talked about, goes in around like 9, 10. He'll catch 50 balls this year, so PPR, he's a great option as well. So yes, you'd probably want a running back if the talent's there. If the round 3 in a keeper league, I'm trying to think of what type of talent might be there. It really depends. You gotta look at the draft board.
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill, a guy I obviously love. He falls for round 3 a lot.
Right.
I'd highly recommend him on your team, PPR or not. I think he's just a huge big play threat that's gonna explode. I'm trying to think of like the running backs that kind of go there. Christian McCaffrey, a guy you like. He could be a good guy. Definitely a threat for 50 to 60 receptions, explosive. So if you're looking at running backs, McCaffrey might be there. Marshawn Lynch coming back with the Raiders. Not as much of a PPR guy because he doesn't catch many balls, but he'll score 11, 12 touchdowns. So it depends on what running backs kind of fall there. Lamar Miller could get some. But I'm always in the mindset, don't just lock yourself into a player. It's got to be best available.
Right.
So, yeah, ideally, if a good one like Christian McCaffrey's there, sure, have an elite quarterback, elite receiver, elite running back. He's not elite running back, but high-end upside.
It'll work.
Joe Mixon, Dalvin Cook. Yeah, there's lots of guys. We'll do a draft today and see kind of how it flows. But yeah, all the way back to that first question of Jordy Nelson round 1 for you, absolutely. I think it's loading up on one team can be risky because then you cost yourself. If Jordy Nelson explodes, it means somebody else probably isn't.
Right.
But when you talk about the Packers, that's one of like the top 3 offenses, maybe number 1 offense in the league. That's one of the few teams you can just load up on, along with the Patriots, the Saints, those explosive offenses. I'm not worried if I'm starting multiple because they're going to be putting up 35 or so points a game, which means more fantasy points for you. We got some questions coming in. I see
just
comments.
Not too much. A lot of people are tuning in.
Good. Well, hello, everybody.
Nate would like to know when we're getting more fantasies.
What, football fantasies?
Yeah.
I think that's a great question. We need to get those back on the pod.
Maybe I need to get reading something.
Yeah,
maybe I can pull something up and.
Oh, maybe we can get a live football fantasy.
I
could find a note for you.
Yeah, maybe I can read a note.
Oh, okay.
My voice tone right now probably would really make it a really good fantasy.
Yeah, okay. I'll find us some fantasy stuff.
I could really channel my inner RuPaul.
Awesome. Well, any questions or anything else going on there? Where do we get in the football fantasies back? We'll get one live for you.
No. Anyone have any questions?
Yes.
Well, some people are tuning in.
Definitely.
But nothing yet.
Well, then we can keep talking then.
We have one.
Oh, okay.
Pete. Hello, Pete.
Uh-huh.
How are you? I
How's
went
it
to high
going,
school with Pete.
Ah, nice.
He says, not
tuning in,
sure
Pete.
you can really load up on the Patriots, Wolf. Just not enough to go around, right? Can't really trust anyone in that backfield week to week.
The backfield-wise, I think that's a really good point, Pete, it is so unpredictable week to week. We're still seeing how that shakes out. Early on, it was going to be, Gillislee's the clear goal line guy, was one of my favorite sleepers as a result. LeGarrette Blount had 18 touchdowns in that role last year. So, that was something I absolutely loved and was all in on Gillislee. But he's been out with a hamstring almost all of camp. I don't even know if he's returned to practice at this point, which has gotten Rex Burke had a lot of goal line work where he's looked good. James White, is probably the Patriots back I trust the most. He's the guy that's kind of has that clear third down role on lock. I went to camp earlier, and he was the clear guy in the 2-minute drills. The guy that, hurry up offense was just every pass was funneling through him. He was getting peppered. So I really like James White as a late round sleeper, especially if you do reception leagues. But you're right, it is tough to trust that backfield week to week. I know Belichick too is saying we want our backs to be versatile, more versatile than last year, so we can kind of just flow them all through in the game, which means this could be a four-headed nightmare with Dion Lewis, a very talented guy, looked great in the preseason opener. Rex Burkhead, again, very versatile. James White, Mike Gillislee. It's now starting to shape up like a nightmare. So if I had to rank him, I would say Gillislee's still at the top because he has the most touchdown upside. James White a close second with the most reception upside. And then it's like, can you even ever use Dion Lewis? Could you ever use Rex Burkhead? Or is it going to be too inconsistent? Throw him on the bench in case Gillislee stays hurt or one of them does emerge. There is upside in that offense because it's so high-powered. But you're right, the backfield's tough to trust. I would disagree a little bit that if I have like Gronk and Brandon Cooks, I'm expecting at least a touchdown a week, if not two. Those two are so explosive. The passing game is so explosive. Yes, it's very matchup-based and game-to-game dependent. That's how Belichick operates. That's why he's the best coach in the league, is he'll find that matchup, and one day it might be a Julian Edelman day, one day it might be a Cooks day. But ultimately, I think that offense is so high-powered. They're going to score 35, 40 points a week. You can trust 2 or 3, or go with Brady and get the guy who's thrown it to all of them. This is the one year I might reach a little bit for a quarterback. If Brady's there in round 4 or so, then I think there's some serious upside to owning a guy that could throw 45, 50 touchdowns this year. So that's how I approach the Patriots offense. Thanks for the question, Pete.
You're like an encyclopedia, and you just go. It's like wild.
Is it too fast? Do you understand what's happening?
I'm sure. I know that Pete played football, so I know Pete totally understands what you just said.
Good.
I maybe understood 20%, but that's okay.
If I have to slow down,
that's
just tell
okay.
me.
It's all right.
This happens to me in the classroom too. I'm a teacher.
Google.
And I go on these rants, and it's good. It's the way I talk. I
it's good.
Go so fast. My students will just stare at me like mouths open. It's like, what the hell did this guy just say?
I talk that way about celebrity gossip and dancing, so that's okay.
True. Yeah, when you have your passions, it just comes out. You know? Fantasy football brings that out in me. So if I ever need to slow down, just let me know. I'm looking here, trying to find a football fantasy for you to read on
live.
We'll find one.
We have another question.
Okay.
From CJ.
Yes.
Yes, Jimmy. I know that you're looking forward to the touchdown dance today. I have done some brainstorming, and you will see the touchdown dance. Maybe momentarily we will do the touchdown dance. But CJ has asked, which rookie running backs do you trust most in order in a half PPR? Mixon, Fournette, McCaffrey, Cook.
Very interesting question. We're actually organizing our own Roto Street roundtables, and that's one I actually have on there. And I haven't personally answered it yet. We've started to get some of the experts weighing in on that, and that is an important issue. And I think it's a great question because this is one of the most heralded rookie running back classes to come out in quite some time. They're all very, very talented guys. And now it's just a matter of who landed in the best spots and who's going to get the most work, plus the talent side of things. So now it's, to me, half PPR, how I rank these guys. Originally, Fournette was the clear top. He was my RB9. I had him very high. But now he's got a foot issue. They're working in Ivory with the first team offense, getting goal line reps. Yeldon's going to take all the receptions. There is a sneaky chance that he ends up a between the 20s, just ugly situation. And he's a big, powerful guy, so he should get some goal line work. But if this is a three-headed nightmare, I can't put him at the top of the list anymore, especially if he's dealing with foot things already. He has a big injury history. I'm starting to fall off the Leonard Fournette bandwagon, which means at the top of my list is my favorite talent of the bunch. That's Christian McCaffrey. We talked about him a little bit earlier, especially in PPR leagues, half PPR leagues. This guy's a freak. He dusts every linebacker. There's not going to be a single guy that can keep up with him from that position. He'll line up in the slot. I know Cam Newton's short game accuracy is a concern to many, but this guy's a special talent. He hasn't had anybody like this to throw to. So I think everyone that keeps saying past historic, this is how he's been, is discounting the fact that he hasn't had a weapon like this. So you got to play. Right. You don't play in the past, you play in the future. I think Christian McCaffrey's going to have a huge role. I know Jay Stu's there, might take the goal line work and early down carries. McCaffrey's still going to be an absolute monster. So I put him at the top. Then it becomes Mixon versus Cook, which has become a really tough debate. in the first preseason week, I loved what I saw out of both of them. I don't know if you call it any action, Shamus, but Joe Mixon looked fantastic. He had 6 carries for 30 yards, was very patient in the hole, just zipping up there, waiting for it to develop. Looked almost like Le'Veon Bell the way he waited and then would hit the crease as it developed. And he was involved in the passing game, took an 11-yard pass that looked like he was going to go for a loss, broke 3 tackles. Loved what I saw out of Mixon, but I also love what I saw of Cook in the sense that he got just so much volume. The first two drives was targeted 4 times as a receiver. It's going to be dump-off city there. Had 4 passes in less than a quarter of work, which just tells, part of it was the line was so bad, Bradford was under pressure, so he had to just dump, and it was all going to Cook, and he looked great as a receiver. It looked great in space. Absolutely loved what Cook was doing, especially the volume he was receiving. He looks like a guy, the beat writers were saying 300-plus touches. I didn't believe it, and then after week 1 of the preseason, now I'm fully on board. He could get 300 touches. Don't love the line, don't love the overall offense. The situation's not great, but ultimately the work could be there, and I love the talent. So if I had to rank them all, I think Fournette's the 4th on my list at this point, which he's the 1st on many. I would probably go, McCaffrey, Cook, Mixon, Fournette right now. But there's a lot of preseason to develop. If Mixon secures that early down role, they're saying Jeremy Hill might start and be a factor. If he takes that away and is looking like a 20-touch guy, I'll move him because I like the talent a little bit more than Cook. But for now, I would go volume-wise. Cook's the safest bet. McCaffrey's my favorite talent and should see similar volume. So McCaffrey, Cook, Mixon, Fournette. Very good question. I really like that one. Yeah.
Great question.
Great question. I am, as you were finding the questions, I found a good fantasy, and it's a guy we've been talking about a little bit after preseason week 1. So I'm going to kind of work together the pieces
got it.
What would be fun to read as a fantasy. You know how I do that.
Hi, Casey. Casey says hi.
Hello,
Casey
Casey.
is the bride that we celebrated this past weekend.
Congratulations, Casey. Congratulations on the wedding and the fun time in P-Town. Let's hear, while I'm preparing your football fantasy, let's hear some stories from P-Town that you're willing to share.
Some of the stories.
I'm trying to share some.
Some of the stories can be shared.
Yeah, you said it was your first time. Just tell us a little bit.
It was my first time.
That's kind of surprising.
P-Town, which I think everyone should visit P-Town at some point in their life.
I've never been myself.
You would.
Very
you would do well there. And it was great. On a lighter educational note, we climbed this building that's like the Bunker Hill. It's called the Pilgrim Monument. And you climb 19 billion stairs. We did this a morning after a night of heavy drinking.
How many stairs?
Like 1.5 million ramps and stairs. So we were all dying and drenched, and our pores were just pouring out.
And that's the worst too, when you're like, I was gonna say, when you've been drinking, it's just like reeks of the booze, which is the worst part, because then you're smelling.
We got
it
up there,
oh.
in tough shape, got up there, but a spectacular views of just all of P-Town, the ocean, the beaches. It was so fabulous. And from there, we went at night. We went and saw a show called the P-Town Mail Call. So it would be what you would relate, the equivalent of like Magic Mike in person. Clothing optional. So it was good.
Is this when you had like the face paint on? I remember you showed us a picture.
Yeah, there was a lot of glitter. I still have glitter all over my body. I'm pretty sure everyone has glitter all over their body, and in places no one should have glitter.
Oh my God.
But that is, a bit of what happened.
Oh man.
So those were just some highlights.
Nice.
And Shamus, thoughts on the Aqua Bar at P-Town?
Oh, okay.
Jimmy, if I was at the Aqua Bar,
So
I
Jimmy
don't know if I was there. I don't think we were there. We went to Governor Bradford's. I sang Spice Girls karaoke.
Whoa, what song?
a wannabe or spice up your life, maybe. I don't know, both.
I'm sure it was an absolute show.
Yeah.
Wait, how's your voice? Let's hear a little.
I'm talking. My voice. I'm not going to replicate my Spice Girls performance. Nate says Shamus is the worm, a acceptable wedding reception dance. The worm. Well, I think you need to monitor the floor, Nate.
Is the worm
an acceptable wedding reception dance? If the floor looks fairly clean, great. People tend to drop a lot of drinks on the floor, so be aware that if you do the worm and you get up, you're probably going to be covered in someone's like tequila and like gin and beer. And if you're wearing a light color, wedding, yeah. I wouldn't suggest it. Black, you're totally safe. But that would be my take on those two questions.
Oh, no.
Just lost the camera, but that's okay.
Hopefully that didn't shut it off. We're still here.
We're still here.
The wind took us.
It's the wind.
We are here. Let me just get this back in the tripod. I thought it was nice and sturdy. And then, of course... Alrighty. Are you still on the camera? Is this adjusted right?
Not quite. But that's okay. Dead center.
There we go.
Center stage.
Yeah. Alrighty. There we go.
Casey is asking about the dead fish.
Is that going to be your end zone celebration we get to see later?
Dead fish action this weekend.
The dead fish come out?
Maybe the dead fish will come out. Casey's asking that. Susan would like to show the eye picture. That can be found on my profile if you'd like to see it.
Very interesting. I think you sent that to me at like midnight. I was on the bus like, what the hell is this? Yep. There's no caption or anything.
Yep,
like, interesting.
Yep, looking festive. Black Swan. And Casey says we're looking good today. Right. So
the Roto Street Journal shirt. Thanks, Casey. And these will be on sale soon. So we're giving them out to our staff writers and whatnot, and then we'll see how many extra we have. But a lot of people have been asking, can I get one? I like the color and all that, which is awesome.
Great
Thank
color.
you, Eric DeMario, for doing a great job on the shirt. They came out fantastic. So if you would like one, though, we're going to be putting them on sale eventually. And I'll order more. I mean, we've gotten a pretty high demand already. I was surprised. I just wanted to kind of get a few, give them to the team. And then instantly people were like, I love that shirt. Let me get one. So awesome. We'll have a little marketplace corner where we can get some shirts eventually. I guess maybe we'll become a merchandiser. Who knows? Wasn't planning on that, but that's the next step of the business, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we can get that cash flow going with some shirts. So I prepared a football fantasy for you here because I've missed it too. We haven't had on it's been like 5 or 6 podcasts. We haven't had the football fantasies. I mean, you've been all over the place with your dancing competitions and stuff. So
some people may have never experienced the football fantasy.
Exactly.
Yet.
This will be the first ever live on-screen football fantasy. Right here. So the name is pronounced Galladay. That's how you say the name. Galladay.
You love to give me the ones that I can't pronounce. If you look back on previous podcasts,
we've got
some difficulty saying some names. So
Adam
Kenny Galladay.
Yeah, Kenny Galladay is the
Galladay.
name. Okay.
All right, let's hope I don't have to say that much.
Let's hear this football fantasy live. This is a real treat for everybody.
Reading it cold. All aboard the Kenny Galladay hype train. The Detroit Lions' 3rd round pick has been turning heads since he joined the club in the spring, and already looks like he could be an impact player from the get-go. On Sunday, he showed exactly why during a devastating performance in red zone drills. Absolutely devastating. First, he used his 6'4", 213-pound frame to beat rookie corner Teez Tabor on a slant. Now, it's true that Tabor has taken his fair share of lumps in camp, but given Galladay's size and speed, he comes out his breaks really quick. The slant was practically indefensible. Me, being that big body. I got to come down with the ball, Galladay said. Not a lot of corners are my height. They're going to be shorter than me, so I got to make that play when my number is called. Tabor was back in coverage, and this time he saw the fade coming. There still was nothing he could do. Galladay caught the ball over the top of him anyway, and got both feet down for another score. I think he's going to be a beast, Lawson said. He's just so good at going and attacking that ball. The evidence is mounting that Galladay is ready to contribute immediately, alongside Golden Tate and Marvin Jones. And that's that.
Wow, bravo. Live,
the best they can do.
Live
The best they can
performance.
do.
That was fantastic. Thank you. It's even that much better.
Trying.
Live
The
performance.
cold read.
The cold read. You did fantastic. It wasn't. I could have cut a little bit out of there. It wasn't the
Okay.
best organized. You know,
Right,
both
that's
of us
okay.
on the spot there. But Kenny Galladay, fantasy owner, and while you were reading, by the way, the likes and the laugh faces were just pouring in. So I think we got to do a live football fantasy every single time. It's got to be. That might be the best thing we have.
Yeah.
So I'll make sure to prepare a list of football fantasies for
Okay.
the next time live.
Got it.
Because that was awesome. But Kenny Galladay, a name you brought up. Have you ever heard of this guy? Or
Nope, not at all.
Alrighty. So if you check it out, the website, CJ just wrote a great piece on Kenny
Okay.
Galladay. This article came out before their Sunday game. That this guy's been dominating, devastating. I think was the word you read so
Devastating.
eloquently.
Right.
Devastating in the red zone, and he just came out and scored 2 touchdowns, and it was against the ones too. It wasn't just like he's working against 3s and 4s and dominating. He came out and scored 2 TDs. So this is a guy that his practice, you get in the puff pieces from camp that you just read us, and then you see it on the game tape. It's actually happening. He jumped over 2 guys in the end zone, caught a touchdown, and he's been going undrafted in the league. So Kenny Galladay, when I come out with my updated August guide, my penny stocks, we talked about penny stocks last week, maximizing that late round bench ceiling. He's a guy around pick 120, rounds 12, 13, 14. Just a receiver that could do some serious damage. Anquan Bolden was there last year, had 22 red zone targets.
Wow.
Those are now up for grabs because he's gone. And 22 red zone targets, I think, was like 3rd or 4th in the league. They're saying that that's going to be Galladay's role, and the way he's performing in camp right now, he could really do some absolute damage with that. So Kenny Galladay, glad you had a good football fantasy on him, a name that if you're a fantasy guy tuning in right now, make sure Kenny Galladay is on your list. He's not on many people's lists.
I gotta put him on mine.
Make sure he's on that late round penny stock for sure. Maximize that bench upside like we talked about. Is there any more questions up there, or should should we get our mock draft?
Maybe we should
going?
get into a mock draft.
Alrighty, so
see what I can do.
We've talked a ton about different things in all of these episodes. Episode 1 was kind of just getting to know us, telling you what the show's about, getting a baseline fantasy assessment where Shamus did his first ever draft wizard, and did his thing. So let me pull up 1 sec. Oh, the internet's not working. I might be able to. I'll do it on my computer because the iPad's not working right now.
Got it.
I just have like a million tabs open. But Shamus did a draft wizard, and I liked a lot about, but I think I ultimately graded you like a C-.
Yeah, but I believe the website gave me like a B+ or something.
Their grades mean nothing. I promise you that.
Just saying.
So now we're gonna do another one, and again, you choose like the settings. So it's 1 QB, 2 running backs. You start 3 receivers.
Sure. Yeah.
Is that what you do? Yeah.
Yeah.
1 tight end. And do you do a flex?
Yeah.
And it's PPR. Now what's really cool, Shamus, is you're able to actually enter the keepers. So once you know what everybody's keeper is, you can say, oh, I'm keeping Rodgers in round 2, and it will just automatically take that pick out as it's going. So that way you can kind of get a sense for who else people are keeping and how that works.
So can you put in just my keeper?
I can't, but you can just take him. He'll be there at round 2, pick 1. So why don't you just take him to really,
that's what we're working with.
Get a sense of what we're working with.
That's unfortunate.
But it will be good too to add those other keepers in, so you see like who might fall to you in round 1, 3. Get a sense of who's gonna fall there and whatnot. But
Of course.
let's start the mock now. And you're pick 12 PPR. And who has fallen so far, and who are you considering?
Oh God. Okay. I don't know who's gone so far.
Well, yeah, who's on the board at pick 12, and we'll talk about it. And some of the strategies I want to hear you discuss.
Jordy Nelson.
Yeah, your
who
boy
we
Jordy.
talked about earlier. Devontae Freeman's also there.
Uh-huh.
DeMarco Murray, Michael Thomas.
Who you should have capped.
Is there. Thank you. Thank you for the criticism.
Yep.
So do you want me to just do a few picks and then let you know? Do you want me to
we'll talk through them all. Because I want to kind of get your...
Because I'm thinking that I would like to pick Jordy Nelson just based off of like our conversation we had earlier.
Sure, let's get
I feel
that
like
connection.
That's a great pairing.
Yeah.
I think he's a top, obviously, wide receiver,
Mm-hmm.
and there seems no reason not to take him.
Number 8 or 9 on my big board. So yeah,
Yep.
it's at 12. So good
Yep.
value on Jordy Nelson. I'm feeling you there. What I want to kind of discuss as we go through these picks, and take Rodgers in round 2, obviously, right? So we know
Yeah.
the sense. So I think it's your pick again because it's the turn.
Yeah.
So do you see, you click draft, and then you pick them.
Yeah.
If you need players, they're all kind of down there. You
Yeah.
click their name and they'll pop up.
Yeah. So Devontae Freeman is actually still available, and Ezekiel Elliott, but that is a sticky situation.
Yeah, Zeke is an interesting one.
Yeah.
So this year, and I have a whole podcast, article, all that on here, but I think in round 2, Zeke is certainly doable if you get it, like we talked about, Jordy Nelson, a safe talent that you know you can rely on every week because there's so much running back depth this year that you can make up for it rounds 5, 6, 7. Not that you're going to get a Zeke level talent there, but you have enough to kind of hold you afloat. And then you get Zeke, one of the top talents in the league.
Right, but technically I
pick 8.
should probably be picking Aaron Rodgers.
That's true, yeah. If we wanted this to be realistic to your own draft.
Right, right.
So talk about let's do this. Talk about who you would take if you weren't locked into Rodgers now, and then we'll ultimately take Rodgers.
I would go with Devonta Freeman.
Okay.
He would be my second choice.
And
so
why is
perhaps
that?
why don't I?
Let's do a draft as if we don't have to keep Rodgers.
Right,
Let's just do a draft, right?
Pretend that
and you can talk
didn't
about
make the worst life choice ever.
And we can talk about some of those things we've talked about through multiple episodes.
Right.
So when we get to the late rounds, we'll talk about penny stocks and what
sort
you
of
want
like
to do
the
for
top
bench.
tier. You know, Devontae is in that
tiers.
top tier, sort of running backs.
Yeah.
You know, DeMarco Murray, not too bad as well.
In that same tier.
Yes, exactly. So I feel like that talent and that is going to be gone. You know, some of those top tier.
Definitely.
And then we're getting into, you know, not horrific people like Mixon and Hyde that, you know, may still be around, but I feel like
tier very much below
taking
them.
Devontae.
Yeah.
So I am taking him. I'm just going to go ahead.
And you've had him in the past. He's been a guy. You know, Devontae's about my 15th or so guy. But I know you've had him in the past. He's very consistent. So, you know, 2 very high floor plays right now with Jordy and Devonta. That's a good way to approach your first 2 rounds. You need sure production.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers is gone.
Aaron Rodgers is gone. Yes.
Yeah, he's now gone.
Did not fall to you in round 3.
No.
Your heart's broken, and I
No,
apologize.
but taken in the 11th
But
pick,
it's
so thank you for ruining my day.
It's for the best, Shamus. It's for the best.
DeAndre Hopkins and Joe Mixon.
So Hopkins
are
is there
on the
all the
board.
way at the end of round 3.
Yeah, and I sort of like that.
I love that. We talk about tiers. He's kind of still in that tier.
Yeah, Gronkowski's gone.
Gronkowski, as he should be.
Travis
Kelsey.
Yeah, Kelsey is there, which I've always had him in my leagues. He's strong, but then again, it's tight end. So, but you know, when we talk about that talent and you know.
You're bringing up good points because the talent is with Kelsey. You keep bringing up that word tier. He's like the one that's right below Gronk.
Right.
He's not in Gronk's tier,
right.
but he's the next.
There. Right.
He's like if there's a tier and a half, like tier 1 and then tier 1
right,
and
but
a
is
half.
someone like DeAndre Hopkins going to be there? No, he's going to be gone in the next round.
Right. Although you also get 2 picks right here, right? Because it's 12.
Correct.
So I think Hopkins is kind of the no-brainer.
Yep.
He's in that tier of potential wide receiver ones.
I'm taking him.
And now you have Jordy and Hopkins and Devonta Freeman. I mean, that's a great core. I love building up depth. Remember, we talked in episode 2, supply, demand. There's a much higher demand for receivers and running backs because you start 3 receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex. The demand's very high, and the supply just drops off fast.
Right.
When there's a supply like that this late, you got to capitalize on it. So I'm with
Right.
you. Hopkins, great pick right there.
So now
Love it.
I took Hopkins, and then there's Mixon, and oh geez, obviously
You can like
Spencer Ware.
do you see how you can see show more?
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you can
yeah.
see other players.
Because
as
gosh
well.
knows I don't know everyone's name.
So Joe Mixon for the running backs, definitely. We talk about tiers again. I keep bringing up that word, but I'm looking at this list, and Mixon I think is head and shoulders above this next group of Powell and Ware, and definitely not Anderson. I hate Anderson. So, I mean, Mixon makes sense there. Receivers, I don't love much of what's there, although I told you I like Tyreek Hill a lot.
Yeah.
So I'll leave it to you. I think those guys are good names. And I think considering Kelsey there wasn't a bad idea, especially with Jordan Reed being hurt. There's really only 2 tight ends in that like tier 1 discussion, and Kelsey's one of them. So I think any of those 3 names, Mixon, Kelsey, and Tyreek Hill, I would consider at that pick. Who would you go with?
Travis.
You got again, it's a guy that's done you well in the past. Totally respect that.
And okay, so now we
Already
have
your draft's 1,000 times better than last
Amir
time. I'll tell you
Abdullah.
that. Not in love.
Yep.
Between the 20s guy.
Frank Gore, Bilal Powell.
I love Bilal Powell compared to those names that you just brought
Yep.
up. Yeah, why don't we, let's keep it like kind of in the middle. if that's
Got
okay.
it. Sorry.
No, don't apologize. Now this late, we already took a tight end. I was gonna say, I love this guy. I'm not. I wanted you to do a draft on your own, but we'll talk strategy. We don't have time to do 2. I was gonna do 1 with just you and then 2 together, but we don't have time for that. I know you got to get to the dance studio and salsa. But this name right here, Martavis Bryant, this late, that's a guy I absolutely love. Martavis Bryant, huge upside with the Steelers. Wide receiver 1. When he's on the field, the key has been, can he get on the field? But now he's back, he's reinstated. He's had a kid, and that seems to have changed him a little bit. He's really dedicated his offseason to working out and just really getting his head on straight. I trust that he's all the way back. He's a guy I have ranked in my top 30s, and we're at pick 48 or so.
Next to his name?
The S would mean suspended, but he is back now. So that needs to get updated. He's back. And that'll be your 3rd receiver with Jordy Nelson, DeAndre Hopkins, Martavis Bryant. I mean, that's the guy on the board right now that I'm like, you got to go with him. So I would go him for sure. And then you have another pick, right?
I do.
So at this point, you only have 1 running back, Devonta Freeman.
Bilal Powell.
I would recommend you go running back in PPR.
That would be my pick.
I like Bilal Powell. I think the Jets are going to be dump-off city this year. They're going to be playing from behind. He could catch 6-7 balls a game. I mean, they just lost a noon one. There's really just, I think so.
Stressful.
So now that you made your pick and you got stressed, why'd you cringe?
I
What's
get
going
so
on?
stressed over this.
It's good
and then
practice,
players
though.
are gone, and then I don't know their names.
But the thing, Shay, is the reason it's good you're experiencing that emotion now is this is practice.
Right.
Now when the draft day comes, and this is why I recommend everyone does mock drafts out there, when the draft day comes and you see these players come off, you're going to be used to that. You won't have to cringe and feel stressed out about it because you've seen it so many times. I recommend doing millions of these and just going through and testing out different combinations and picks and what if I go QB, all that stuff. But you cringed. Who's on the board or who went that you were like, oh, I really wanted this guy?
Well, no, everyone took a quarterback pretty much.
And that's fine. Quarterback, you can go late. My strategy.
Yeah, no, I remember. Yep.
Let's look at
Frank
what
Gore
quarterbacks
is
are
one
there.
that I'm actually considering.
So I don't love Gore personally. So he's a very reliable guy in the past. He's 33 though. I don't love 33-year-old running backs. I just don't. Especially when he's got Robert Turbin potentially stealing goal line, Marlon Mack stealing receptions. This has the looks of a between-the-20s guy, a guy that's old. As much as I respect Gore and what he's done for the game, this isn't the year I'm drafting. I always miss out on Gore at this point, and he always proves me wrong. Coleman's not a bad option because you have Devonta, and if Devonta goes down, you now have his insurance policy. That's tricky because you can't really start them both. I guess you could in the flex, but he's a good guy that you kind of cuff. That's why it says cuff.
How convenient.
Yes. So it helps you. What are some receivers on the board? Let's talk about some of those guys. Because PPR, your flex should probably
Deshaun
be
Jackson,
I love
Pierre
Deshaun
Garcon,
Jackson.
Tyrell Williams.
So wait, Deshaun Jackson, who
Cameron
else?
Meredith.
Cameron
who
Meredith,
I
I
had
like.
at some point last season. Randall Cobb.
Cobb, your boy from the Packers. He's there usually a little bit later.
Yeah.
And you already have Jordy, so you don't want to
Correct.
throw in that many.
That
Out of those names, I think Deshaun Jackson, we talked about tiers. I think he's head and shoulders above everybody else. Is Eric Decker there? Sometimes he falls late. Or did he already go?
Don't know.
Eric Decker?
Don't know.
He's somewhere in there.
He's so good looking.
He's already gone.
He's gone.
He's gone.
Someone knew he's good looking.
Yeah, you could have had
Someone
you
knew.
gone with your strategy of looks and also fantasy talent.
Yeah.
So would have been a good pick.
I have chosen Deshaun.
Deshaun,
whatever.
I love it. Deshaun Jackson, great pick there.
Yeah.
Former bus guy, but in Tampa, it's a very vertical offense. They love to go deep, and he's the best deep threat in the league. Winston can throw a rope. I think Jackson's a fantastic. Deshaun Jackson's a fantastic pick there.
Like Garrett Blunt.
So let's go. Let's run down the roster. Is it still your pick right now?
It is.
Okay.
I have Devontae Freeman, Bilal Powell, Jordy Nelson, DeAndre Hopkins, Martavis Bryant, Travis Kelce, and Deshaun Jackson.
It's a fantastic roster. I mean, this is that, like, compared to last time I gave you like a C- or whatever I gave you, already you're building an A. When we get to those late rounds and we talk about penny stocks, and if you start maximizing that bench upside behind this roster, you're going to have, I mean, that's going to be a great squad. So you'd mentioned Tevin Coleman. Is he still there?
Yeah.
So now that your flex is taken care of with Deshaun Jackson, it might make sense to put that guy on your bench, because if Freeman gets hurt, that's a huge blow.
It's a big loss.
But if you have Coleman, now you know he's the cuff, and he's very talented. I love Coleman. That's a cuff that if Freeman goes down, you still have an RB1 all year. So yeah, it sucks to burn. What are we, round 7 now? It sucks to burn a 7 pick on a handcuff, but with the Falcons, it is worth it. So I go Coleman there. We call him on the site handcuffs with benefits, because it's a guy that he's your handcuff, but you can also start in a pinch because he catches a lot of balls, he gets a lot of touchdowns. He's like the king of handcuff with benefits, a guy that you can really start. And also
I have taken him. I made my decision. I clicked.
That's smart.
We are on to the next. Matt Forte is available.
Okay.
Derek Carr, Dak Prescott. I mean,
Matt Forte made
we're
me
getting
want to puke.
down into the quarterback.
So this is where we're in what, round 8 or 9? This is where we could start considering quarterbacks, depending on if there's
Derek Carr, Dak Prescott, Phillip Rivers, Stafford.
So there's so many names there. I would usually recommend waiting.
Eli.
A guy I love, though, that you said, Derek Carr. He's my QB5, my 5th ranked guy. And this is pretty late for their QB5. I think the Raiders' offense, you got Crabtree, you got Cooper, you got his offensive coordinator he's new this year, was his old quarterback's coach, said he's going to let him do more no-huddle, faster pace offense. I think Carr takes that next step and becomes one of the elite this year. Throws 30 touchdowns, 4,500 yards. I recommend Carr. That's, as a quarterback, this late, my number 5 guy.
Got it.
I think that rounds out the starting lineup.
What are your thoughts on Dak Prescott?
I like Prescott. He's my QB 11 or so.
Okay.
I think now that Ezekiel Elliott is going to be out for a little bit, that gives him a little more pressure, and they're going to throw the ball a little more. So early season, that might help him. Although Zeke's also a great pass catcher, pass protector, take the pressure off. So it's going to be interesting to see, does this help or hurt Dak not having Zeke? I definitely go Carr over Prescott. It's not even close to me. We talk about tiers. Carr's in a level above Prescott in my eyes. And then at that point, I don't think we have to go quarterback. We've got our guy. There's going to be quarterbacks like Carson Palmer in the last round that we can have if we really need a backup. I don't think we have to worry about a second quarterback. Now we want to start thinking about, we have our starting lineup kind of all filled in at this point. We're on the bench. Let's see if you've learned from me. When we get to the bench, what are we trying to accomplish with our bench?
I still have to pick.
Make your pick, yeah.
But I'm making my pick.
We're trying to maximize our bench.
I'm making my pick. I made my pick. I went with Dak Prescott.
Okay.
I went with Dak Prescott.
So Dak.
I like the Cowboys. I'm into it.
And so you have Derek Carr and Dak. Is that what you're telling me?
Yep.
And so the only thing that's good about that is if Carr gets hurt.
I only have Dak Prescott.
You went Dak over Derek Carr?
Yes, I did. Don't hate me, but you know.
Puke to the side, but you gotta go with your guys.
Second under you. Yep.
You gotta go with your guys.
Little gut, little instinct.
Puke a little bit, and then
that's
your guy.
Now we have Matt Forte, Theo Riddick, Mike Wallace.
Okay. And so we're on the bench building stage, and this is what we talked about not last week, but 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Let's see if you've learned from me. What do you have to do when you get to the bench? What do you try to do with your bench players?
Gotta fill with those people that could boom. Those people that could really just
You've learned.
Explode.
I love
and,
it.
That they may not be the top of the line, but they are people that could just go off.
You want the upside, exactly. Yep. So we call them the penny stocks, the cheap guys that could explode and boom.
Correct.
You're right there with the philosophy. A name you threw out there that I think is still starter worthy is Theo Riddick.
Yeah.
I think PPR leagues. The fact
I read
that he's
about
still
him
there,
recently, so I feel like that's my pick.
I think so for sure. I actually like him more than Amir Abdullah, who you were talking about.
But it's
3
great
rounds
to have
ago.
both of those.
I'll take Theo Riddick more than him because he catches the ball for sure. He's the locked-in third down guy. Big red zone threat. Surprisingly, at 5'8", he's very quick and nimble. So when he gets matched up in a linebacker in the red zone, they'd like to dump it off, and they said they're going to increase his role with Golden gone. I think Riddick's got some insane upside for where he goes this year. Great pick there. Love it.
A lot of people have gone.
So now we're looking at those high upside guys. So do you have some names in mind? I can throw out some penny stocks, but I want to see who are some late round guys that you kind of remember that we might have talked about. And
Darren Sproles.
A big pass catcher. PPR leagues, some upside. They're talking about how they've been working him in space a lot.
I have quite a few running backs. I feel like
always build a stable though. It's good, and you have 4 good receivers, but it's always good to build a stable of running backs and receivers. I think that's always the way to go.
Right. So
build some depth at those positions.
Tyler Lockett.
A good physical freak, but coming off a horrible surgery. Doxson has some serious upside.
Yeah.
Now, here's a couple names I'll throw out there. Let me know if any of these guys are available. Is Robbie Anderson of the Jets there?
He is, and so is Cole Beasley of the Dallas Cowboys.
Cole Beasley, let's take that, throw it out the window. I don't want that at all.
Okay, he doesn't want that.
Now, he's a guy that eventually you might pick out off the waivers. He does catch some balls. He's a good 4-catch, 60-yard
Robbie
guy.
Anderson.
So PPR, he's dependable. Robbie Anderson, though, you talk about booming and exploding. He's the new number 1 for the Jets after Enunwa got injured. First preseason game, he was targeted very heavily in the first 3 drives. He went 3 for 3, 71 yards, a good deep threat, long guy, good speed. He's the one out of that list that could become a, target monster with a big physical, mindset. I like Robbie Anderson as a guy that can explode.
So I clicked.
Yep, he's moved up to the top of my penny stock list in just a week.
So then, now we're getting down there. No one's taking a kicker. No one's taking a defense.
Nor should they. That's, never take those guys early.
Darren Sproles.
Good PPR
Doxson,
upside again, like Doxson. Let me throw...
Woods.
Let's see.
Can
I see? You mind if I take a look at what running backs are there?
Go for it. Go to town.
Alrighty. So out of this running back list, I'll throw some names out. Jamal Charles, I love in Denver. We got some comments?
Yeah, there's some comments.
Alrighty. Well, after we wrap up the draft, we'll get there. Here's another penny stock, though, that I want to put on your radar in PPR leagues. His name's Alvin Kamara of the Saints. So, Alvin Kamara.
Okay.
They drafted him to be the Saints have always, even last year, most receptions to running backs every single year. They always have they used to have Darren Sproles, Reggie Bush. They always have that pass-catching guy that they love to pepper. And they drafted Kamara with the mindset that he could be it. Flashed a ton of talent in his first preseason game. I think Kamara is a guy that can maximize your bench. Now, they are recommending you go Denver Broncos. And at this stage, when it's pure just flyers and throwing out names, actually, you know what? Derek Carr's still there. All these no names you're talking about, I'm putting him on your team.
There's some comments about the Derek Carr situation.
He's still on the board too, guys.
Okay,
so,
I'm taking him.
We're putting him on the bench.
The Wolf is just taking him for me.
I don't care. You're not getting any input, Shamus. I'm sorry.
You're just taking over.
I'm taking over. We're taking Carr.
Okay.
But now let's see if our guy there is still there, Alvin Kamara. Yep, he's still here. Jamal Charles. So that's what I mean with a guy like Carr.
Right.
He's as much as I want to maximize my bench, that's maximize your bench. My number 5 QB in round 12. That's a no-brainer. I'm sorry I just took over, but that's a no-brainer. And so now again we go back. We have 2 more bench spots to fill, and I'm looking. Jamal Charles I like as a potential. The Danny Woodhead, Mike McCoy's there in Denver. He could be his next Danny Woodhead, catch 7-8 balls a week. Alvin Kamara, we just talked about the Saints liking to throw the ball to their running backs. And then the receivers I'm looking at, I don't really like any of this other than Taylor Gabriel, a guy that's...
I had him before.
And he can really boom or bust. Cooper Kupp, another name I really like, a rookie that could catch a ton of balls for the Rams. A lot of targets available there.
So maybe Jamal Charles. Let's pick him.
Jamal Charles, I mean, he's old, could be a serious risk, but never count out a talent like him. So let's go Cha-Cha. And we got one more guy before we're going to go kicker and defense. So do you want to make it a receiver, a running back, tight end? You got Kelsey, so you're kind of safe at tight end. No need to blow a pick on that. So now again, some of those names I talked about. Kamara, Darren Sproles is still there.
I'm thinking a wide receiver.
Taylor Gabriel, we just talked about.
I like him.
All right, let's go Taylor Gabriel. I like that pick, Shamus.
Stressful.
No, it's good stuff. This team is... I really like this team. Whether they grade you lower or higher than whatever you did last time, I think this is a fantastic roster.
There goes all the defense.
Yeah, defense you can stream, you can pick up throughout the year. I'm not ever worried about defense and kicker. You can always fill them in. Their top-ranked guy is the Jaguars, the Ravens. Some more comments. I can't wait to hear what people have to say. So we're going to go kicker, defense.
Kicker. I love Mason Crosby.
You got to get your Packers boy?
Yeah, why not? Why can't I?
Because Justin Tucker's just so good. He never misses, and he gets 40-yard bombs, 50-yard bombs. The only reason, if you want Crosby, it's fine. It's your guy. Plus, you have Rodgers.
He's pretty solid.
The only reason why Crosby's a little lower to me is their offense is so good that they score touchdowns.
Right.
And then you only get 1 point for the extra point.
No, that's true.
They don't stall out very often.
Right.
Whereas the Ravens will get in the red zone but stall out, and then you get 3.
Right.
Does that kind of make sense?
No, it does. They either charge down or they just suck when they first get the ball.
Yeah, so
pretty much how they go.
You're getting 1 point from Crosby more often.
Okay, fine, valid.
So let's get Justin Tucker.
That's fine.
The best kicker in the game in my eyes. And then you just take Jacksonville. I mean, they could improve this year on defense. You're going to be streaming them anyways. So we'll go with them. Let's see what we get graded out here. Last time was a B+, even though it was another B+.
Another B+.
And I think your team is way better than last time.
Okay.
So let's go. I'll read out or you want to read out our final roster here for everyone?
We have our quarterback, Dak Prescott.
Derek Carr.
He's on the bench.
Exactly.
He's on the bench.
He's your starter.
But on
keep
the bench.
Going.
Simmer down, everyone. Simmer down. Running back, Devontae Freeman. Running back, Bilal Powell. Wide receiver, Jordy Nelson. Wide receiver, DeAndre Hopkins. Wide receiver, Martavis Bryant.
Unbelievable receiver corps.
Tight end, Travis Kelce.
Strong.
Flex, Deshaun Jackson. Defense, Jacksonville. Kicker, Justin Tucker.
Awesome starting.
Then we have a bench, Tevin Coleman, Theo Riddick, Robbie Anderson, Derek Carr, Jamal Charles, and Taylor Gabriel.
And you know what? You talked about before you went to the bench, maximizing that ceiling. I think your bench contains, unlike last time where you were taking Matt Forte and some just horrible picks that made me want to throw up everywhere. You drafted a bunch of guys that, will they pan out?
Right.
Most of them probably won't, but at least 1 or 2 of those guys could really explode.
A bit more rational.
So I really like that you took on that mindset of who's going to explode, and you definitely got a few potential upside picks there. So
Nat is.
We continue. So the battery's about to run out. I know. We've got a good
there's some comments. People are saying that I'm growing up before their eyes. But then there was the Derek Carr situation, and then people took back their words. Jimmy would like.
Oh, we need to get your end zone.
Never say Cha-Cha again. Nick says hi.
Cha-cha.
Hi, Nick.
Hello, Nick.
Greg the Legs.
Who's Greg the Leg? Greg Zerline, the famous Greg Zerline?
Yeah, Greg the Legs.
Well, we're about to die, Shamus, on our battery, and everybody asked for your touchdown dance.
Okay, got it. So, I'm not quite
we'll
sure
answer the rest of the...
what angle everyone would like.
Alrighty, I'll get the camera here. Alrighty.
So, yeah. Alright, so we've got the boom, touchdown, and then we go, and then we're...
Best touchdown dance
That's
of all
it.
time.
That's one of them. That's
That is
one.
the best dance
little
of all
variety,
time.
Little variety. I'll give you one each week. One each week.
Alrighty. Well, guys, it's been fun. Thanks for tuning in. We'll keep addressing any questions. My camera's about to die, but we'll address any other questions in the comments that you guys have. Thanks for tuning in. It's always a blast. We appreciate it. I'm the Wolf.
Simply Shamus.
All right, we'll see you guys. Alrighty, how do I turn this thing off?